Well, thanks for attending today. This is Rob Heppell from Funeral Futurist, and today we're talking about the three smartest ways that you can use AI in your cremation business, and that you can actually start using right away. And we're going to just look at how discover how funeral providers can simplify their operations and increase their efficiencies. So if you don't know who I am or need just a brief refresher, don't worry. It's quite quick. I've limited it to one page. So anyway, I've been in the funeral profession for quite some time. I used to be the kid and that, and now it's not that. It's kind of the opposite. I started in '86, right out of high school. I'm a fourth generation funeral director. My grandfather and great grandfather had a funeral home in Ontario. Just north of Toronto, and but my mom moved out to Victoria, BC when she was 21, met my dad, and so I've lived in Victoria my whole life. But so indirectly, I grew up with the business. And in Victoria, it's a it's a high cremation, highly competitive market. We're currently now at 92% cremation, which has leveled off. There's enough burials, and green burials is becoming somewhat popular, maybe 4% of the deaths, 3 or 4%. But anyway, we're still, you can be in business in both a low cost provider situation and also as a full funeral home. So we can get into that a little bit later. Anyway, I started there, and then in 96, about 10 years later, I started pre-need. Pre-need was new, and we grew the pre-need business there to to have a backlog of up to $7 million, and that's important because we'll get back to that in a little bit. Then again, and it's funny, these are like in 10-year increments, right? So in 2007, I actually left the McCall Brothers, now McCall Gardens, and started Funeral Futurist Marketing, and later renamed it Funeral Results Marketing. That was in 2007. In 2020, then I sold Funeral Results Marketing, and after 2 years, I rejoined McCall's to kind of retake over the pre-need program. So a lot has changed in those 15 years or so, but and we're now applying some of the newer things that I've learned. So kind of at that same time in the last 4 years, I've really started to research how AI would work with funeral service as a whole, and then have really focused on the marketing side of that, right? Because it's more than just using ChatGPT. There's lots of different things that AI can be used for inside a funeral service. But the nice thing is that I maintained Funeral Futurist and have kind of started up again my marketing agency with a focus on digital marketing, hosting funeral home websites, cremation arrangement websites, as well as SEO, Google Ads, but also how AI incorporates into that. And so it was that bit of a break actually really allowed me to kind of jump in and learn about AI, and that's what we're going to share with you today. So just in the next half hour or so, just if you don't mind, please turn off your phones or close your tabs if at all possible. Just kind of dedicate your focus to the presentation. Take some notes. Hopefully you have some things that you'll learn here. And again, I'll stay on as long as I can to answer questions at the end. And not that I know everything, but I've again really focused on how this applies to in the funeral industry, and in particular cremation arrangement websites. And I think that's as you'll find out today, it really fits well with that side, and maybe not as well in your traditional funeral home at this time. So, with what we're going to talk about today, as a cremation business owner or manager, you're always wanting to streamline the business, scale the business, and it's not, it's very different than your traditional funeral home. So we're really going to drill down on that today, and unfortunately at this time, I don't think that it can read AI, like voice AI, probably isn't the best choice for funeral homes right at this time. Although I do think that it would take, it can take place on the pre-need side. But we'll have another webinar next month where I go into that in a lot more detail and have some more things to share with you there. But for you folks, and just looking at the list of the folks that are attending today, I know a lot of your situations, and where you're juggling both. You're at the funeral home, you're running the funeral home, you're running the cremation business, and you don't want to attribute too much staffing to the cremation side, this low cost cremation, but it needs to operate, and a lot of it is being able to communicate with people right away, because you don't have that longevity and generational business that you've had with the other with the funeral home, where people have we've always used that funeral home, or we've used it for generations. Well, that's not the same for cremation businesses. So someone has to be doing a lot of these things, whether it's the marketing, customer service, sales, just the overall operations. And are you juggling that? Are you all by yourself? Do you have someone to do it? And if you do, how much is that costing you? So, one thing with the AI assistant, it's working for you 24/7. So no sick days, always on time, and once you teach it, it doesn't forget. So the only mistakes are mistakes that they haven't been trained on yet, and once they're trained on, then they know that, and there won't be any other mistakes. And usually it's not a mistake. It's just like, let me check on that information, and we can get back to you. So with having the AI working for you, you can then focus on growing the business, and then the AI assistant will handle a lot of the busy work. And as you know, AI is kind of the next big boom, right? Like .com. This is more for small businesses, so it can make us more competitive, and a lot more efficient. And I don't think we're going to have the same bust as there was for the .com, just because this is getting incorporated everywhere. We're seeing AI everywhere, and but a lot of the times you can't just fit a generic solution into funeral service. There's certain things that we need to be aware of, and it's just not it's not the same as a lawyer's office, or as a pizza shop, or a restaurant, or or hair salon. So one thing too is when is this going to be optional or not? And just since low cost cremation is such a you really need to be efficient with your time, with your money. So this is going to be part of your operations, whether it's this month or in a year from now. But firms that don't grasp this will have a tougher time going forward. So today, I think we have two missions. We've got one, just first of all, to help you streamline what you can, and then also from that, it will then help you make more money in your cremation offerings. So the first part, to really streamline things, right? We want you to be able to focus on the passion, not the busy work, and we want you to automate your customer communication, scheduling, FAQs. One thing that we've done here at the local funeral home, one of the secretaries is retiring, so we're getting them to just make a list of all the questions that you get answered over the phone, and what we're going to do is we're going to then take those, and those questions are questions that then can be put in, and your AI assistant can be answering those questions, and then what it does do is it then frees up more of your time to serve your customers. Also, too, it's going to help you make more money, right? So by utilizing AI and being in the first in your market, you're going to, if you're operating better, if you're more efficient, financially, it's going to allow you to do other things, right? Where with competitors, if they're not taking on AI, they're going to lose out, because you'll either be able to spend more in marketing, or just have a less, maybe a smaller staff, and or as you grow, you're not going to have to get more staff, right? One of the great things about AI is, and I'll give you the phone number at the end. I don't want to do it now, but I'll encourage everyone to phone the number. And with all the folks that are on the call today, if everyone phoned at once, there's not going to be any busy signals. The AI assistant's going to be able to answer everyone's calls. So that's another thing. What we're going to see here too is it can also help with your online review. So after the call's been done, you just enter in the name of the person and their email and mobile phone number, either or, and then the AI system will reach out to them in either or both modalities, and humbly solicit an online review for you as well. And it's not 100% automated, because one thing is, there are going to be times that maybe a family just they're not happy, or they're kind of crotchety, and you don't want to give them the opportunity to leave a 1 or 2 star review. But so there's still a bit of the human touch, but everything else is looked after, and hopefully, as you can see, even though it is artificial intelligence, it's just not a bunch of recordings and that you're waiting for pauses and it's the same inflection every time. You'll be able to hear that it's very conversational. So let's dive into this a little bit deeper and to see the main reason of saving, how you can get more calls and not waste time, is by, first of all, never missing any calls. And also too, what it's like when you've got someone on the phone and they've got some question and another phone call is coming in. You might end up, that new call could be a new first call, and you might miss it if you can't get to it. So having an AI assistant just eliminates that. Let's just say if you have, that call is coming in. Do you see this other call coming in? Do you take the call and interrupt your current one, or do you ignore it and then risk getting that, right? So we don't want that anymore. We don't want that that possibility of happening, and that's where the AI assistant can help you. So here's what you can do, because neither option is ideal, right? But by us being able to maximize every opportunity, you're not going to have missed calls, because the missed calls equal missed customers, and that equals then missed revenue. And this could be $1,000 a call, or a bit more, and then multiply that. If it's one call a week, then that's maybe $4,000 a month, or it could be more. It could be one a day, which could be $20,000 each working day. And as you know, death doesn't take a holiday, so deaths occur 24/7. The other thing too is that by also utilizing the AI, we can then generate more reviews. So by having a bit of a program after you've completed the cremation for family, quickly just enter in the information, and the AI system will do the rest. Well, don't worry about this, because because the chat isn't working at the moment, so we'll just move on here. But I'm sure you get questions like this. What are your prices? How much does it cost for a cremation? When are you open? Do I have to buy an urn? And it could be, there could be lots, and you probably know other questions that that I'm not thinking of, but I'm gonna, in just a few minutes here, I'm gonna get you to share them with me, and then we'll do some live calling just so you can see how it works. And you think, yes, that's the reason why I hired the receptionist, is to answer some of these calls, right? But here's the problem: you hire the receptionist, and probably it's $2,500, $3,000 a month for a receptionist, and they're just taking one call at a time, and they're just working 40 hours a week. But there's actually 168 hours every week, so only a quarter of the time, your phones are being covered, and then then it's going to answering service, or it's going to a voicemail. Here you can actually have someone just, a virtual person, walk them through the process and direct them back to make arrangements online, or at least really get detailed information if you do have to phone them back. So let's just talk about how the AI assistant will help you, right? So, you're going to be getting these calls all day long, and it can answer questions about service offerings, what the prices are, and as I mentioned, any of the FAQs, and also too, there's any other inquiries, or if I know a lot of cremation providers don't handle scheduling, but if you do and have appointments, maybe it's a phone appointment, that can be booked and handled as well with the AI assistant. And this again is just at a fraction of the cost, right? It's not going to be the same as hiring someone, and it's going to work the entire week for you. No sick days, and they only need to be trained once. And then in the end, we're just the simple math here is that you're going to have a higher revenue. You're never going to miss that first call, and or that inquiry. You get more reviews. The setup isn't too onerous on you. We just get you to fill out some questionnaires, and then we get on the line, and we a couple times get things worked out for you, and then you're up and running, and then it's live from there. So what we do here, we've just covered this. So let's do a live demo here. So if anyone has some questions that you want to ask, I'll do a live demonstration here. And kind of while I'm waiting, kind of the funny thing is, my wife Cindy, she said, "Oh, like, do you ever need me to help work in the business?" And I said, "Well, you know what? I think I've got a solution for that." So my AI agent is Cindy. So I let her know, "Hey, you're already working in the business. You don't have to worry about it." Anyway, if we've got okay, we've got one here. Let's see. Okay, well, this is a separate question. Okay, so a funeral home that wants to offer cremation services to clients as a online shopping cremation having a firewall, can that assist? Can that coexist with current services? Yeah, the biggest thing is going to be just having a separate phone number. Or forwarding your phones. I'm sure lots of firms have do that, forwarding to an answering service, so that can be done. But that's the key, right? So, but for a cremation provider solely, and I know a lot of funeral homes have both, if you have a separate phone number, that cremation phone number would direct right to the AI assistant. Okay, so yeah, we've got some questions coming in here. I'm gonna grab my phone. Now we're going live here, so I'm trusting this is all going to work out fine. If not, I do have a recorded backup.
Please stay while your call is completed. Long distance charges may apply. Hello, this is Cindy, the AI assistant with Heppell Cremation Service. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, hi, this is Rob.
Hi, Rob. How can I assist you today?
Hi, I was wondering, can you tell me how much a cremation is?
Our direct cremation packages start at $999 with no hidden fees. Would you like a detailed quote or more information on our services?
Yeah, and I've got a couple questions here. Do I need a casket, or do you have a cremation container?
For direct cremation, a casket isn't necessary. We provide a simple, dignified container that's suitable for the process. Is there anything else you'd like to know?
Sure, and what about an urn? Do we need to buy an urn?
Our package includes a basic urn for the return or scattering of ashes. However, if you're interested in something different or custom, we offer a variety of urn options. Would you like more details on those?
No, that's fine. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Rob. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free to reach out. Have a great day.
Thank you. So there was a sample of the live demo, and yeah, it's the great thing about how this service works is that the training that we provide. So we go into the back end of the system, and we can preload. So we can preload your costs. We can have in a number of different FAQs. If there's certain hours, so there's some generic questions that we would go over with you and just get you to confirm them, and then also get you to give us specific information about your your facilities and or operations, and then take it from there. So we've got another question here about the does the AI assistant disclose that they are AI? And yeah, well, it doesn't have to disclose, but we recommend that it does. So I believe that let me just get you I should be able to bring it up on the screen here. So this is this is part of the AI. So this gets emailed back right away, and it first of all has just the summary, but then here's a transcript back and forth, so you can read it all here, and then also in our system you can actually see the actual recording. So I'll show you the recording here. Just one sec. So here was the call that I just did.
Hello, this is Cindy, the AI assistant with Heppell Cremation Service. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, hi, this is Rob.
Hi, Rob. How can I assist you today?
Hi.
So not only do you get a transcript, but you can listen to you can also listen to the actual recording as well. If there's any mistakes, then we'll have a easy form that you fill out, and just let us know. Obviously who you are, the phone number of the agent, and then then either this is the new question that we'd like to add, and here's our response, and then we'll keep adding that to the system. Let me see here. So we did. She did disclose that. You can train it. You can type in that you don't have that. I would always recommend not trying to fool the customer. So now it does say in there that hi, this is Cindy, the AI agent for Heppell Cremation Service, and that's they're probably not going to hear it, but they're probably kind of thinking of the next thing, right? But it's there. and you can always, we could, if you asked it for, how do I start the cremation process, and then it will direct, we can just put in the URL where they go back to your website to go right to the starting page, because they've already got a little bit of information. If another question is, can we get a staff, like what if they want to talk to a funeral director? Yes, so we can also set it up so that they can forward a call to a director, or take some information and then pass that information on. So that would then be in the in the log of the recording. But if I would recommend the second one, just because if it goes to, if you're not available right at that time, a live transfer is just going to kind of get back into a wheel of either going to a different, a voicemail, because it would go to it could go directly to your cell phone. So I would recommend, and if you're not available, they're going to get an answering machine or what have you. So I would, what I would suggest is, just let me take your name and number, and also the AI agent's very good at, spell out, your name, and also to ask one at a time. Okay, can you give me your name? Can I please have your phone number? And phone numbers are a lot easier in this process to get than an email address. Now, that we can still have them ask for an email address as well. But there's, they obviously have a lot of spelling, back and forth. So they'll say it, say the word. So they'll say Rob, R-O-B, and then they'll say Heppell, and then, H-E-P-P-E-L-L. And, but for email addresses, that's going to be a bit longer, but it can do that for sure. So that's, so it can do a live transfer as long as there's someone to answer the phone. But it can also just say, I'll have someone phone you right back. And then it just becomes, part of your process that you're going to, you'll get, whoever's on call or manning, the cremation business calls. They get that email. They can also get a text message with that, please call, Rob at this number, and and then here's and they'd have the transcript as well. Can you program the AI assistant to deliver? Yeah, so the question is, can you program the AI assistant to deliver certain key messages on every call? And we can have a huge amount of information, but we want it to also be conversational. So you want it to be very similar to a like a live call. We don't want people's eyes kind of rolling if after the funeral director's talked for a minute straight on something. Obviously we can do that, but I wouldn't recommend that. But you could have, if you wanted them to know, like in that example, we've trained it so if people get asked a price, the price is $9.99 with no hidden fees, right? So we added that in, right? So you'll hear that every time you phone that number. She'll say the same answer every time, but also with no hidden fees. It could be, it could be a little bit longer. what we've discovered though in training this ourselves is if we ask, as an example, if we said, that's great, can I get your name, phone number, and email address? Or if we get even the email address, say, in the middle, right? Well, it's the person that ends up having problems because the name's easy, and then it gets into the email question, and with the email, you need to have it spelled out, right? Just as you would a regular secretary doing that. And then you kind of, forget to give the phone number, right? So that's why, like, even in that part ourselves, we ask all those specifically, like, one question at a time. Again, trying to have it more conversational, and it's not, the way it works is it's not just, it doesn't have a bank of standard questions that it only asks that. It's also taking those questions in and, coming up with a response, using the person's name and that. So, but we can obviously have a conversation about that, and I would kind of let you know what the best practices are. And hey, we're all kind of learning here too, right? So, the key is to get some of the foundational things in place, and then we can tweak it as you go. Don't worry, I'll give the phone number at the end. I just don't want everyone to start dialing just right now, because we'll go through a little bit more of the presentation. There's not much more, and then I'll give the I'll give that. Just one sec here. Okay. So just to kind of run down what's included and what's involved, with this is, you'll get, Cindy, the virtual receptionist. Now you can give it any name that you want. We prefer that you humanize it and have a name, and we can choose from a number of different accents, and we've tried a number of different ones, and you can get male or female, and then also too, the great thing is the same knowledge of information is on the chatbot as well. So when you're using the chatbot, you can it will provide the same information. So if you were to ask how much is a direct cremation, it will say $999 with no hidden fees. So that's that's in there as well. So they're both part of the same system. Now it does also include appointment scheduling. Now, if you want, it's I know for pre-need, so when we talk about this in a month from now, I think that will be ideal, right? Because I know what it's like. They phone the funeral home tries to get in touch with me. I got to get back to the people, and maybe then I leave a message, and there's all this back and forth where they were on the phone. The AI assistant is going to have access to your calendar because it's integrated with either Outlook or with the Google Calendar, and so you can set up a time of I work from 9 to 5, and then it knows though that you're kind of booked maybe this afternoon and tomorrow morning, but you're free tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning. And so it will actually just say in conversation, oh, sure, I can book an appointment. Would you, how is, 2 o'clock tomorrow in the afternoon or 10 o'clock on Friday? And it will, so it will do that as well. It takes, that static information on your calendar and weaves it into a conversation. I've got another question here. How does the AI assistant deal with language dialects or accents that are maybe hard to understand? Well, yeah, it's probably going to be the same as as a human. I know that sometimes we can. It's hard to understand people directly. Now it works in other languages. So the system actually works in other languages. We just have it set to to English. And now with if people have visual challenges, this isn't an issue because this is all by phone, right? So as long as they can dial in, they're just dialing the phone number, so that's there. Now hearing challenges, it would just be the same as a human talking to someone. So if they're talking on the phone and they have hearing challenges, that kind of it's on their end. So if it's a problem, the problem wouldn't be any different for the AI versus for a live secretary. It will repeat if they don't understand. Like they'll repeat the question if they don't understand the question. So that's what I can. If you have a specific example, you can send it to me and we can test it and and then get back to you. But we haven't had any issues yet. Okay, so one of the questions that we have is, can you set it to recognize both English and Spanish? I'd have to check. The answer is yes, but we might have to have two separate phone numbers, which isn't, there's a little bit more of an expense, but not a lot. But I'll look into that as well, like for that. So especially folks, in the southern, United States, where there could be a lot of English and Spanish speakers, then we can. I'll find that out. So yeah, we've got similar questions there. Then also too, it's if you're currently using a after hours answering service, you wouldn't need to do that anymore. And the key is that we can hopefully get more information where you can provide pricing information, and you can and even direct them to take that next step and make the start the arrangements online. So I think in the long run that it's going to be more beneficial than your typical answering service. And we've talked about that it will also send out the I like to use the term humbly solicit online reviews. So if you just again enter in the the first name and last name of the survivor, and you can have multiple survivors. So this is just totally on the side. Hopefully you're asking your family members, all of them, not just the next of kin, for feedback. Get it from all of them, and which is a way of getting more online reviews. We also have our onboarding and our 24/7 support. Okay, and I've Edna, who works with me. She's not my AI assistant. She's works with me. She's saying that like if you ask the question, okay, you can have 2 languages. She would ask if you prefer English or Spanish, then have prompts in both languages. For example, do you speak English? Or sorry, do you speak Spanish? And then the answer is yes. Then she'll finish the rest of the call in Spanish. So that's an answer to that question, and not all languages are formatted yet. So, but that would be kind of the number 2 in this scenario, right? Also here, just kind of working through the list, you get all the call recordings and the transcripts as I showed you, and also too you get real-time notifications. So my cell phone has also been going off as doing the demo. My phone's ringing to show me this. Once we hung up, I'm getting notified right away. And then also too, we'll once we get things set up with you, we send out a little that goes on your counter. Kind of looks like a bit of a trophy, but it has a QR code, and people can just scan it with their with their camera on their phone, and it goes right to your Google reviews page. So that's there. So that's all included. And so if you kind of add all this up, it's $2,700 a month. But to get all of this together, it's $495 a month with a $995 setup fee. So that's that's everything that's covered here. So which is far less than what it would be to have a staff member or a lot more, provide a lot more features than if you just had voicemail set up. But if you want to get going first, we've got an introductory offering. So it's just $395 a month to start with the $695 setup, and that's good to the end of the month for the first 10 folks that want to do this. And you don't have to. I want you to test this out and first, and you can then call me and we talk about your situation and go through it there. So just as a comparison, when you look at your the different features from voicemail to having an assistant like a live assistant versus an AI assistant like Cindy, first of all, if you're not the voicemail isn't going to handle calls or inquiries. It's just going to record everything. It can't process your online orders. It's really the only thing is that it's affordable. Now with your assistant, you can handle calls and inquiries. It's limited to what it can do for your orders, but it's not available 24/7, and it's quite expensive comparatively, where your AI assistant can look after everything for you. So if you were looking at this, and I'm just taking the $1,000 low-cost cremation, I'm not sure about your market. Some might be a little bit less, some might be a little bit more. But if first of all, if you have a mislead, you're gonna that potentially of $1,000 gross revenue lost, and which could be even just one a week. it's that could be $4,000 a month, or $1,000 in net profit. So that's something to to consider. By having an AI assistant, right? It's just the $500, $495 a month, and and if it just wins one extra call a month, it pays for itself. Versus the if you have hiring a receptionist, it's $2,500, $3,000, maybe even a bit more to have that assistant on staff, and where I believe having the AI assistant can provide a lot more value at a fraction of the cost. So here, what I'll do here is I want to make sure that we don't have a problem here. I'm gonna make sure that I give you the right phone number.
Please stay on the line while your call is completed. Long-distance charges.
Just give me a sec here. But add let's see.
Hello, this is Cindy, the AI assistant with Heppell Cremation Service. Who am I?
Okay, I'm just confirming the phone number here. So okay. Well, just one sec here. There you go. So you can try calling this number, and now be nice. We've tested this a few times. Some of my friends have been to see how far they could push it, and ask some questions that may not have been appropriate and not appropriate for me to share on the webinar today. But I get a recording of all of them. So be nice to Cindy. So that's the phone number, 702-500-0775. And just wondering if you got any other questions at all. Great, we've got three folks that want to get started already. So please let me know if you're interested, and not even that you're even if you're not ready to commit, but you still have more questions. By all means, just the best thing to do is to just send me a quick email. We'll have some email follow-ups, and then we'll just schedule a time. Actually, you can I'll just add this here. So if you want to talk about this anymore, the best thing, just pick a time in my calendar, funeralfuturist.com/meet, and we can set up a time to chat. And you can also see the chat widget on Funeral Futurist as well. Now, it's geared more to marketing and sales. I didn't want to give out any chat messages to to actual funeral home. But you can use, you can ask the same questions to our chat bot, and it's not going to have specific direct cremation information, but you'll be able to see the back and forth of how it acts and responds. So it's not, again, the nice thing about this system is that it's not like just these canned messages that are the exact same all the time. It's very fluid and kind of goes back and forth. Okay, so any other questions that you may have? I'll just go back here. Let's see. Okay. Oh, can you start with the chatbot first on the website and then go with the virtual receptionist later? Yes, yeah, that can be done. Yeah, and that would be, there would be less of a cost. Just let me get back to you on that to see what that would be. Okay. Yeah, so we'll get that information out, and we'll also have a recording of this as well, so that you can go back to it and check it out. If I don't see any other questions come in, just look for the follow-up email, and we'll be in touch. You can contact me. You've got my email. You can go to the website to Funeral Futurist /meet, and set a time and we can have a chat. So I'm really excited about this. It was maybe a good thing of all the stuff that happened with my former digital marketing business. Taking a break, getting into AI, and I've been to conferences, on that, and then two, I see it in a similar manner, but slightly different, of how it could be used for pre-need for even a full service funeral home. I don't though. I think it would be really hard for this to be at the front of your communications for your funeral home at need. I there's maybe again, if you're low cost cremation, it's perfect. If it's full service and you're charging a lot more for personal service, I don't think the AI assistant serving the at need families at the full the full functioning funeral home would be the right call. But we'll talk about this again, and we'll also talk about pre-need for funeral homes for sure. I appreciate your time today, and again, any questions, just let me know. I'd be really happy to help. I'm really excited about this. Thanks for your time today.